Hello, today we're going to show you how to replace the front takedown pin on your CZ Scorpion Evo. If you own a CZ Scorpion Evo, you probably appreciate the modularity of the platform. That is, the ability to easily change handguard, barrel, stocks and braces, grip, even the ability to take the weapon down and clean it with a single pin. It's pretty awesome, specifically if you're trying to clean the fire control group, modify trigger, pack, or safety selectors. It's a pretty neat little design, and again, the ability to have it just come down with one pin is really game-changing. But with any production gun, there's going to be tolerance stacking, and what we've noticed on the newer Evos is that this front takedown pin seems to allow the lower receiver a little bit more motion than we'd like with the upper receiver. And here you can see the lower receiver does have some play or motion to it. And to solve this, all we're going to do is modify the front takedown pin, replacing it with the HBI spec pin. And you'll see that the lower is much more solid in the upper receiver. So, again, to do that, all we're going to do is replace the factory takedown pin with the HBI spec pin. And we're going to go ahead and walk you through that right now. All we're going to use is, again, the HBI spec pin kit. When you buy it from HB Industries, you're going to end up with a pin and a drill. The pin will obviously replace the front takedown pin in the lower receiver, and the drill we're going to use to modify this bolt stop. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the factory takedown pin from the lower receiver. To do that, I like to just use a small pocket screwdriver, and while putting pressure or force out on the pin, so I'm going to pull it away from the receiver, I will use my flathead screwdriver to push down on the bolt stop. The bolt stop, again, is this metallic piece on the side. You can kind of see it comes in and runs along the mag well and over the top of our pin. So I'm going to pull away from the receiver on the pin and press down on the top of the bolt stop, and that's going to release our pin, our factory pin. We'll set it aside and work on getting the bolt stop out of the lower. You can kind of see that it's going to be trapped in the lower. Take note, there is a spring right here at the front. So what I'm going to do is use my flathead screwdriver again, push up on the bolt stop, slide my screwdriver kind of underneath through the takedown pinhole in the receiver, but underneath the bolt stop. And that's going to prevent the bolt stop from coming back down into that pocket. And once my screwdriver is in there, I'm going to pull out and away from the lower receiver on the bolt stop and kind of lift it up and out of the pocket that it's in. So we'll do that here. See the bolt stop just kind of come out. And now we're going to set our lowers, and again, make sure you've retained the spring in the lower receiver. So I'm going to set the lower receiver aside, and we're going to take our bolt stop and our drill over to the vise to check and potentially enlarge this hole if it's undersized. So let's go put it in the vise and drill the hole. Before we put our factory bolt stop into the vise, I do want to mention quickly that the goal here is to chase and potentially enlarge the pivot hole on your factory bolt stop. You can verify that you need to do this, first of all, by checking, of course, that the factory pin would slip through and that the HBI spec pin does not fit into your bolt stop. The reason I mention this is we have seen from the factory, here's an example, bolt stops come on guns to where our drill bit would pass through, and of course our spec pin would fit just fine. So there would be no reason to chase the hole on this bolt stop if this was the one you removed from your gun. There's really no way to tell them apart externally. We have, over the years, seen different part markings on these bolt stops. So for example, the one on the top is marked 11, the one on the bottom marked K5. And in this case, the number 11 bolt stop fits our pin just fine. There is really no way to verify part marking when it's installed in the lower receiver, just due to the fact that the part marking is hidden. So again, the only way to do this job right is to remove your bolt stop, verify that your pivot hole does in fact need to be enlarged to use our spec pin, and then we're going to use the supply drill bit to chase and enlarge that hole. So let's again go ahead and grab the supply drill bit. We're just going to use a hand drill. You can obviously use the drill press or a mill, or a drill mill, any other drilling apparatus that you'd want, but we're going to go ahead and show you how easy it is to do by hand. Specifically, we're going to utilize the countersunk side of the bolt stop. So the pivot hole in the bolt stop has a countersink on this side. Let's go ahead and lock the bolt stop into our vise. And get ready to drill. And using our drill, we're going to use the countersunk side of the bolt stop and slowly start our drill into the countersunk hole and just chase through. Once you've drilled through the bolt stop, we can verify pin sizes again. So that would be the factory pin. And now we'll check our HBI spec pin and notice that it passes freely through the bolt stop. So now we can take the factory bolt stop out of the vise, check it for burrs on both sides, verify there are none, and then we're ready to reinstall it back into the lower receiver. With the factory takedown pin hole chased, let's go ahead and reinstall it into the lower receiver. In my opinion, going in is harder than it was coming out. So first, let's make sure that we have our spring still retained, our bolt stop spring in the front of the magwell right there. And I like to first install the front of our bolt stop, what I'm going to call the front where the hole is, down into the groove, and then holding that in place with my palm. I like to use the entire length of my palm to push down on the bolt stop, kind of forcing it into the lower receiver. And while doing that, I like to use my other hand to kind of guide the bolt stop lever into its home. You may get some ghosting on the lower receiver where it slips into place. If that happens, you can always use steel wool and any type of light oil, kind of like you would for Glocks and for holster wear or light wear or whatever on Glocks, to kind of remove any scuffs or blemishes from the plastic. So if you do get a ghosting line along there, it's going to be fine. Grab your HBI spec takedown pin and start it into the lower receiver, putting pressure on the takedown pin, inward pressure. I'm going to grab my screwdriver again and push down on the bolt stop until the takedown pin slips through. At this point, installation is going to be complete. We'll go ahead and grab our upper receiver, reassemble the pair, and then check and verify that there's no more play. And installation is going to be complete for the HBI lower receiver takedown pin. If you have any questions or need any help, please feel free to reach out to us. Facebook, Instagram, email, we're always here on the phone. Reach out, let us know you need help. Thank you.